Healy already started more than 15 years ago when we started with Time Waver, because everything we have in Healy, all the programs, all the frequencies, all the technology, how to connect to the information field, all this was already developed in this time, 15 years ago, when I realized one dream of my life, which is something like a red thread in my life from almost when I was 16 until now, that I was looking for the point where matter and consciousness meet, the point where the body interacts with the mind. This point, which is very difficult to describe in normal language, this point fascinated me since I'm 16 years old. And because I wanted to understand this, I decided to study physics when I was 17 at the University of Hanover. But then I was not satisfied by the answers which I got from physics. So I started also to study philosophy in the University of Heidelberg. So joining physics and philosophy, this is joining matter and mind, joining the body and consciousness. So this was always a dream for me to find this relationship. So it's a long story. Actually, also philosophy didn't satisfy me too much. It was giving more questions than it answered. So I decided when I was 21 that I will go into a different laboratory, into the spiritual laboratory, and I decided to become a monk in a very, very ancient spiritual tradition of India, which is based on meditation and based off very ancient knowledge from Sanskrit text. And I spent around 12 years being a monk. But even in this time being a monk, I continued my scientific studies. And I was writing 2 books in this time, one about matter and consciousness, The Last Enigma, and one about the fields of life, which is a kind of a scientific basis of a spiritual understanding of life. So this was a long journey. And I had to meet a lot of amazing persons. When I was a monk, I met great spiritual people. I met monks in India, very normal people who had a very great spiritual consciousness. But after deciding that I have to go back to the society and I have to make my contribution in a different way than just meditating, then I met another few amazing people who really gave me the insight to do what I have done in the last 15 years, to develop these devices, which are actually nothing else than interfaces between the body and the consciousness, or between matter and mind. So this of course sounds very abstract, but I started to realize this around 1998 when I met one of my important teachers. Maybe I can show you. Yeah, here it is. Maybe I can show you his picture. I just have to share my screen with you. Here. Yes, it's coming now. You see on the right side, you see the picture of a great German physicist, Burkhard Heim, who was a disciple of Werner Heisenberg, one of the fathers of quantum physics. I met this great man in 1998. He was almost blind. He was almost deaf. He couldn't hear. He lost his arm and he lost his arms in the war. When he was 16, he had to fight. And that time, 1945. And afterwards, he studied physics by Werner Heisenberg. And he developed a model. I show you here just a picture which you might find if you read my books, which is developed by Burkhard Heim. He developed a model of 12 dimensions, how matter, this is of course only 4 dimensions, like space and time, and mind which he could describe also in 4 dimensions, are interacting. And they can't interact directly with each other, but they need an interface of another 4 dimensions. And this interface is what I call the information field. And with Burkhard Heim, I discussed a lot about how we can access the information field, which is like the bridge between consciousness and matter, which is like the field of life behind everything which is manifested in our body, in our daily life. If it's possible and how it's possible to communicate with this information field through quantum processes. So Burkhard Heim died 2001, but in these 3 years I have learned so much from him that after he died, actually I had to promise him that I will use the knowledge which I got from him only for benefit of the people and the people in general. So I started in the end of 2001, maybe half a year after he died, I started with the development of such a quantum physical device to read and modulate the information field. So, and this was the basis of Time Waver. Time Waver is a device which communicates with the information field with the purpose of searching for the root cause of our problems and diseases. And then it has the intention to balance these courses, which it finds in the information field, which are the higher dimensions, the 5th and 6th and 7th and 8th dimension, according to Burkhard Heim's field theory. So this was basically the little of the background of what I developed until 2006, when we had the first prototype of a device, which I found a name for. It's called Time Waver. Time Waver means to wave beyond time, because time is a very amazing, I would say, border between the visible world, which is the 3 dimensions, and the invisible world behind, which is not something esoteric or just spiritual, but it's something purely physical. Burkhard Heim could establish on the basis of Einstein's theory of gravitation that the 5th and 6th dimensions are something physical, and it's basically it consists on pure information, because pure information is the basis in quantum physics of everything what manifests as matter. So this, when I learned all the things, it made me so passionate about finding a practical application to help people to learn more about the unmanifest world and to also live a more happy and healthy life. I know you don't see me anymore now, but I hope you can still hear me, and I hope that we still have a better connection.
We can hear you, Marcus.
Yes, you can hear me? I switched. No, I better I don't switch, because we might lose connection completely. So to make a very long story short, 2007 we had the first 3 devices, the first 3 Time Waver devices. I presented them on a scientific and medical conference, and we sold them immediately, so that we had the money to construct the next 10 devices. And like this, it developed within a few years to have Time Waver in now more than 30 countries, 10,000 therapists, and maybe 10,000 is too much. It will be maybe around, it's less than 10,000. I don't know the exact number, but definitely more than 5,000 therapists all over the world working with a professional device. It took us 2.5 years to get a medical certification for the device, so that we could officially also sell to clinics. And Time Waver already was able to analyze the information field to find the right frequencies to treat a person with his specific symptoms. But it's a device which is like 5 kg weight, and it needs a laptop or a computer to be operated. You need to get a lot of training. in order to operate it. So it cost more than 20 to 30,000 euro because it's very complex hardware. So then the next task was to take this very successful technology of time waver and time wave frequency and make it so small. Let me see if I have it. To make it so small. Actually, I lost my Healy. I'm sorry, but probably you have all seen it already. So I lost my Healy, so I can't show you. But we took all this technology of two devices. There's the Healy. Two devices, the time waver and the time wave frequency, and made it so small that it fits into a very small enclosure. This is what is Healy, but we didn't make it just small, but we made it very smart so that we can talk to it through the cloud. We can connect to each other. We can share frequencies. You can share frequencies with our company. We are constantly developing more and more programs and frequencies, and you can even share your frequencies with your therapist. So it's an amazing development, which was completed around 2017. And this is when we had our 10th anniversary with Time Waver. And we had a great celebration with more than 500 people. Martina was there in close to Frankfurt. And there it was a very special moment when I first time got on stage and I presented Healy to the public, to our practitioners, to our doctors, which came there from 30 different languages. But then we didn't dare yet to go really to the public with Healy, but we wanted to test it for 2 years and see if we can get the same results which we have with our big devices, with this very small device, through our doctors giving it to their patient. And it took us 2 years to really convince us that we are ready to produce 10,000 of them and flood the world with Healys. So we had to we were very carefully to test it and to be absolutely convinced that this is something which helps everyone who comes in contact with it. So this was in the beginning of 2019, and I had actually to meet another very important person for me, so that this, what we see now all over the world, was possible. It was in, I believe, October 2018, when I met Dirk, who is here with us in the call, who then we put our heads together, and there was no doubt in our minds that there's only one way to get this to the people, and this is social selling or network marketing. We both believed in it because it's based on people, and the Healy will never sell through a shop or through online marketing, because you need to experience it. You need to put it on your body. You need to put the electrodes on your arms, on your wrist, and then start the Healy and experience the frequencies and experience what it does with you in the next 1 hour or 2 hours or 3 hours, and then see what it will do with you in the next 3 or 4 weeks, or you use it for half a year and see how it might change or will change your life. And this can only happen in network marketing because it's based on people, and the people get so enthusiastic about Healy if they come in contact with it that they naturally want to spread it. And so it's the absolute natural way. And I'm so thankful for this opportunity. And